Hey there again. Welcome back to Kinfolk Chat. Here we're going to look at the Your DNA portal Chromosynthesis Laniakea Global, and we're going to focus on the less than 0.5% DNA. So I know it can be frustrating. A lot of times people say, no, you're not this or you're not that, just because the main testing companies don't show it. But what we're going to do in this video is we're going to look at an excerpt from Ancestry DNA, and they specifically state that they do not report anything less than 0.5% DNA. So this is where this company, Your DNA Portal, steps in. So let's take a look.
FAQ: does the chromosome painter provide information about genetic diseases or other medical conditions? No, if you have the same ethnicity in the same location on a chromosome as someone else, it does not mean that your DNA is identical. In those locations, the chromosome painter doesn't tell you whether you inherited any specific genes or whether segments of your DNA are identical to segments of anyone else's DNA. Why don't I see 23 pairs of chromosomes? There are two main types of chromosomes: sex chromosomes and autosomes. People typically have one pair of sex chromosomes and 22 pairs of autosomes. Your autosomes contain the most information about your ethnicities, which is why we're showing those 22 pairs. Why are chromosomes different lengths? Each chromosome has a different number of genes on it. In general, the more genes, the longer the chromosome. Why are my chromosomes just one ethnicity? If you don't have many ethnicity regions, you're likely to see some chromosomes painted with a single ethnicity. And if you inherited a large amount of an ethnicity from a recent ancestor, you may also have whole chromosomes from just one region. Chromosomes with multiple regions suggest that the ethnicities were inherited from more distant ancestors. This is because the blocks of DNA that connect you to ethnicities are broken into smaller blocks each time they're passed down to a new generation. As we continue improving our ethnicity estimates, your chromosome painter results will become more precise. To what do not tested and unassigned mean? Some segments of your DNA are harder to read than others, mostly at the edges and very center. Since we can't be precise in those locations, don't test them for an ethnicity. These segments are called not tested. These untested segments represent a very small amount of your total DNA. We also don't show you ethnicity regions that you have 0.5% or less of, because we're not. We also don't show you ethnicity regions that you have 0.5% or less of, because we're not confident enough about these assignments to make them part of your ethnicity estimate. Segments of your DNA that contribute to that 0.5% or less are labeled unassigned. How is a chromosome painter different from a chromosome browser? Chromosome painters display your ethnicities across your DNA and show which ethnicities came from each of your biological parents. This is different from a chromosome browser, which displays segments of identical DNA shared by two people. Chromosome browsers are mainly used to figure out relationships to genetic relatives and to link pieces of DNA to specific ancestors. We do not currently have a compare feature, but if you and a match compare your results yourselves, you may find regions where you share the same ethnicities. If you do, this does not mean you have identical DNA at those places, only that you have the same ethnicities there. Our chromosome painter can be a useful tool in genealogical research to identify from whom and from where you have inherited ethnicities. If there are other features that you believe will help you with your genealogical research, please let us know.
Now, starting here on the left, we have Your DNA Portal, on the right 23andMe, and here I'm just kind of showing you the DNA painter and how it looks on 23andMe and all of the areas that are highlighted. And then next, when we filter out the unassigned portion of my DNA, you see that there are little specks on the first chromosome, the 5th, and the 11th. So it's very, very small portions of it that have been teased out as unassigned. But we'll see if perhaps Your DNA Portal can help us fill in some gaps when it comes to the unassigned portions, as well as those portions, once again, that are under the 0.5% range. And then we'll go ahead and look at the chromosome painter from Ancestry DNA here on the right. And as you see, very colorful as well. They have some areas that are more prominent, but yet there are some other chromosomes that have more color to them. So it's other ancestry highlighted there. On the left, the in-depth origins results from your DNA portal. And if you click on the different chromosomes, then you will see a breakdown of that portion, but of course it's color coded. So the smaller means the less or least amount, least amount of DNA represented on that chromosome, etc. So now let's go ahead and check out here on the right with, again, ancestry. We see some areas are gray, and as it mentioned earlier in the literature, that those portions toward the ends or the beginning and sometimes in the middle, that's been hard for them to kind of tell you what it is. So that's why it's showing up in gray. All right, so let's go ahead and jump back over to the left with chromosome number 1. And again, we're going to highlight all of the areas that are 0.5 or less. So that's going to kind of give us an idea of the undefined or maybe some of the areas that were not reported with 23andMe and Ancestry. Scrolling here with chromosome 1, we see that we have Native American at 0.65, African rainforest at 0.19, and Oceanian at 0.16. Continuing on here, we see you have Australian at 0.5, Caucasian 0.5, Central Amerindian 0.5, Continental Celto-Germanic or Celto-Germanic at 0.5, Eastern Germanic 0.5, Eastern Siberian 0.5, Greek 0.5, Iranic 0.5, Mongolian 0.5, Northeastern Indian and Bangladeshi 0.5, Northern Amerindian 0.5, Northern Chinese, Northern Slavic, Northwestern Indian and Pakistani, Southern Slavic, and Western Slavic, all 0.5. Here on chromosome 2, we have Asian Indo-Chinese and then Native American South. So Asian Indo-Chinese 0.8, Native American 0.18%. Here on chromosome 3, we have African Nilotic at 0.23%. And then continuing on with in-depth origins, it says for the following 0.5%. Arctic, Central North African, Continental Celto-Germanic or Celto-Germanic, Eastern Balkanic, Greek, Iberian, Iranic, Melanesian, Northern Amerindian and Northern Chinese, Southern Chinese, Southern Italian, Western Mediterranean, and Western Slavic. Chromosome 4 is showing Asian Dravidian at 0.66, MENA Maghrebi at 0.28, MENA Armenian at 0.21. In-depth origins for chromosome 5 shows the following at 0.25. Australian, Caucasian, Central North African, Continental Celto-Germanic or Celto-Germanic, Indo-Chinese, Japanese, Northern Italian, Scandinavian, Western North African, and Western Slavic. Chromosome 6 is showing Asian Siberian at 0.35. And then the in-depth origins at 0.5% show Caucasian, Greek, Northern Slavic, Polynesian, Southeastern African, and Western Siberian. Chromosome 7 is showing Native American South at 0.17 and African Khoisan at 0.03. And then the in-depth origins at 0.5% show Australian, Eastern Germanic, Khoisan hunter-gatherer, Pygmy rainforest, and Southern Italian. Chromosome 8 is showing Native American Central at 0.83% and African Khoisan at 0.33%. In-depth origins at 0.5% for the following categories show Baltic, Central Asian, Eastern Balkanic, Eastern Germanic, Indo-Chinese, Iranic, Northern Chinese, Southern Eastern African, and Southern Amerindian. Chromosome 9 is showing European Atlantic 0.98%, MENA Maghrebi at 0.3%, and African Rainforest at 0.02%. The in-depth origins show the following at 0.5%. Central Mediterranean, Finnish, Iberian, Indo-Chinese, Mongolian, Northern Slavic, Scandinavian, Southern Chinese, Southern Indian, Southern Slavic, and Western North African. Chromosome 10 is showing Native American South at 0.58%, Asian Indo-Chinese at 0.52%, MENA Armenian at 0.43%, and European Atlantic at 0.15%. In-depth origins report Eastern Balkanic at 0.5%, Northern Italian at 0.5%, and Southern Chinese at 0.5%. Chromosome 12 shows Native American South at 0.44% and Asian Far East at 0.33%. And then in-depth origins at 0.5% show the following: Australian, Austronesian, Central Mediterranean, Eastern Germanic, Eastern North African, Levantine, Northern Italian, Polynesian, Southern Amerindian, and Western Slavic. Chromosome 13 shows European Atlantic at 0.39%. And then in-depth origin shows Australian and Northern Celto-Germanic or Celto-Germanic at 0.5%. Chromosome 14 shows Asian Indo-Chinese at 0.54%. And then in-depth origins shows 0.5% for the following: Australian, Iranic, Northern Slavic, Pygmy Rainforest, Scandinavian, and Southeastern African. Chromosome 15 shows Asian Far East at 0.06%. In-depth origins shows the following at 0.5%: Central Amerindian, Eastern North African, Iranic, Khoisan hunter-gatherer, Northern Amerindian, Northern Slavic, Pygmy Rainforest, Southern Chinese, Southern Indian, Southern Slavic, and Western Mediterranean. Chromosome 16 shows Native American Central at 0.01%. In-depth origins at 0.5% include the following: Australia, Caucasian, Central Asian, Eastern Balkanic, Indo-Chinese, Northern Celto-Germanic or Celto-Germanic, and Scandinavian. Chromosome 17 shows Native American South at 0.42%. In-depth origins show the following at 0.5%: Australian, Austronesian, Bantu Southern African, Caucasian, Central Amerindian, Greek, Khoisan hunter-gatherer, Levantine, Northwestern Indian and Pakistani, Pygmy Rainforest, Polynesian, and Western Slavic. Chromosome 18 shows African Rainforest at 0.87%, European Eastern at 0.21%, MENA Armenian at 0.17%. Chromosome 19 shows pygmy rainforest at 0.5%. Chromosome 20 shows African Nilotic at 0.49%, Native American North at 0.19%, MENA Arabian at 0.05%, Asian Dravidian at 0.3%. In-depth origins show Caucasian 0.5, Southern Slavic 0.5. Chromosome 21 shows African Khoisan at 0.96%, Mediterranean East at 0.91%. In-depth origins show at 0.5%, Central Mediterranean, Continental Celto-Germanic or Celto-Germanic, Northern Italian, Pygmy Rainforest, Southern Amerindian, Southern Slavic, and Western Slavic. In-depth origins under chromosome 22 include at 0.5% Central Mediterranean, Central North African, Continental Celto-Germanic, Iberian, Mongolian, Northwestern Indian and Pakistani, Pygmy Rainforest, and Southern Italian. So there we have it. If we're looking at inherited ancestry or inherited DNA at 0.5%, we're looking at about sixth great grandparents back, which is approximately 200 years ago. And that is about 256 people that we descend from in that time period. So all of the DNA that you all have seen, including the full scope DNA and then some of the trace ancestry, comes from all of those people. So I inherited different parts of those individuals. So it is possible to have traces of all sorts of DNA in us through inheritance. So once again, this video was just to show you all that yes, we have larger components of our DNA that might be primarily from a place such as myself from Africa, but there are also traces of other ancestry that show up through our DNA. Your DNA portal helped us to tease out more of that DNA, especially as it relates to undefined DNA. So again, we're not one-dimensional. We have so much rich heritage and inheritance that we have come by through the natural process of reproduction and life. So that's just what it is. Thank you so much for your continued support. If you made it here to the end, thank you so much for sticking in there. If you like this video, please make sure to leave a like on this video. Also, make sure to leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the information I shared today. Am I on target or am I way out there in left field? Because I like to go there sometimes with DNA just to feel out, this process as we all learn together. So leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And then share. Please share my channel and share these videos with people you think are interested in learning more about their ancestry. Once again, Kinfolk Chat, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.